Tonight on News 5 Live, the principals of Mine Bear go to court in Orange Walk to retrieve the $3.1 million confiscated during last week's raid. 19-year-old Danielle Thompson is knocked down and killed just outside of Ladyville. And a labor complaint tribunal is established for aggrieved workers. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
Say hello to DigiTV. Step into the world of digital entertainment. DigiTV gives you access to 100+ channels on your TV or your mobile device at unbeatable prices. Take your shows with you wherever you go. It's a new level of freedom. Enjoy your favorite entertainment, sports, family, Latin, and local channels. No more fighting for the TV remote. You can access whenever you want from 2 devices at the same time. DigiTV is for everyone. And with the fastest fiber and mobile networks in the country, you are guaranteed to have the best experience ever. There's no installation required. Sign up for the Max package for only $40 monthly and get the first 2 months for just $30. For a limited time, get 50% off a Fire Stick when you sign up. Download the DigiTV app from the Android or Apple stores. Just WhatsApp us at 608-8888 to sign up. It's that easy. Watch, experience, enjoy DigiTV today.
Watch The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings of the First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. exclusively on Channel 5 Belize. The Truth of God with Pastor Gino Jennings every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Channel 5 Belize.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
Start your engines now for the National MSME Roadshow, geared towards building the resilience of MSMEs and developing a national MSME directory. Sign up for this 3-day event filled with intensive boot camps, presentations, MSME support and formalization clinics, pop-up shops, and more to help you develop and promote your business. The National MSME Roadshow will be in Corozal starting August 24th, Orange Walk August 31st, Belize City September 7th, Punta Gorda September 14th, Key Cocker September 22nd, Belmopan September 28th, San Ignacio and San Helena on October 5th, Sangria October 12th, Placencia October 19th, and closes in San Pedro from October 26th. Learn more and sign up for the National MSME Roadshow by visiting the Bell Trade Facebook page or call or WhatsApp us at 613-5139. And let's get your business on the road.
Reusable plastics. Did you know that until we find an alternative for plastic and all its uses, we will continue to need plastics, such as in the health sector? Plastic becomes a huge problem for Belize when it becomes waste and is improperly disposed of. When it is thrown on the side of the road and in our rivers and seas, it's eaten by animals and in turn by people, and it becomes an environmental and health issue. It costs us money for disposal, filling up dumps and landfills, and paying for associated healthcare. So what can you do? Choose to refuse single-use plastics is step 1. Step 2, instead, use the plastics that were meant to be reused, like coffee cups, water bottles, and food containers. We're not talking about buying a $1 bottle of water. I mean, you can, but how long will that last you? Reusable plastics keep plastics out of the environment for a much longer time and are even better than other forms of plastics like biodegradable or even compostable or bio-based plastics. By reusing, you are also saving money since you aren't rebuying the same thing over again. Think about it. How many bottles of water do you buy every week? How much does that cost compared to the cost of a reusable bottle? Imagine what you can do with the extra money. Click on the link below to see what you can do to help end the nightmare of single-use plastics. I'm Alison Castillo, and now you know.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivor's benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about survivor's benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Galenia Hospital, located in Cancun, Mexico's premier tourism destination, is a state-of-the-art healthcare facility that provides highly specialized medical services. We are Quintana Roo's biggest private hospital with board-certified doctors and staff. Some of our services include Cath Lab, Adult Intensive Care Unit, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, emergency rooms, operating theaters, ambulance services, and more. We are a medically accredited hospital by JCI, Accreditation Canada International, and General Health Council, providing extraordinary care in every specialty, from our cardiology department to our neurology center. We are focused on treating the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. Contact us at medicaltourism@hospitalgalenia.com or visit our website at www.hospitalgalenia.com. Come to Galenia Hospital in Cancun for a truly personal medical care experience.
broadcast is brought to you by the Belize Bank Limited. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, October 14th. I am Annalyn Apollonio. Earlier this week, we told you about the multi-agency operation at Caribbean International Brewery Limited that yielded $3.1 million in cash. The raid on the premises just outside of Carmelita Village also led to the detention of several Asian nationals for alleged immigration offenses. Since then, the Financial Investigation Unit has filed an application under the Money Laundering and Terrorism Prevention Act before the Orange Walk Magistrates Court to have the seized funds detained for an additional 3 months while they seek to determine the origin of the money. According to that piece of legislation, money seized by a police or customs officer cannot be held for a period longer than 72 hours, unless ordered by a magistrate for a period that does not exceed 3 months. The application hearing began today before Magistrate Deborah Rogers. CIBL has retained the services of Senior Counsel Dean Barrow in this matter. The FIU is being represented by Attorney Chanel Thomas Smaller. In her opening statement, Attorney Thomas Smaller argued that there are grounds to suspect that the $3.1 million seized on the compound were being kept for the purposes of human trafficking, tax evasion, and money laundering. We spoke with former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, attorney for CIBL, on adjournment. Here is how he responded to that assertion.
They have brought charges against various individuals for working without a valid work permit. Immigration matters, charges that for which the fines are something like $1,000. It is just, and their application for the detention of the money was based on that. It is just today now that we hear there is all of a sudden this allegation that the monies may have been tainted by money laundering activities or may have been infected by tax evasion. That is completely new, and my own position is that it is new because it is an afterthought designed merely to support the application to hold on to the money. Without those new belated allegations, I don't think they would have had much of a case. How on earth would you connect $3 million plus with offenses that attract maximum, or not attract offenses for which the fines are in the region of $1,000. There's a huge disconnect. But now they've introduced these new elements, I insist, by way of a bid to shore up the case that was first alleged, which case, in my view, didn't amount to very much.
Inspector Gian Young, a member of the Belize Police Department's Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit, was the first witness to take the stand. According to Young's testimony, on October 6, the Joint Agency Task Force comprised of immigration officers, labor personnel, and members of the Belize Police Department conducted a search on the company's administration building, which houses offices as well as bedrooms for employees that are of Chinese nationality. Inspector Young bore witness that several identification documents, including Chinese passports, birth certificates, immigration workers' permits, Belize police records, and COVID-19 vaccination cards, over $2.5 million in Belize currency and $30,000 in U.S. currency were discovered inside a safe in one of the bedrooms. He further testified that a second money box in a separate room was searched, where an additional $400,000 in Belize currency and just over $250,000 in U.S. currency was discovered. When Inspector Young inquired about the funds, a company representative present at the time reportedly stated, that is, that the bank does not accept more than $50,000 a day, that the money is the property of the company, and the identification documents were locked away for safekeeping.
He did say that he asked about the documents, the identification documents, the passports in the safe, and that one of the personalities of the company said those documents of the Chinese people are there for safekeeping. There is nothing to suggest that the documents were being held in the safe contrary to the wishes of the owners of the documents. These are, some of these people came here as engineers from a sister company in China, a technical people, to oversee the installation of equipment and so on. They are strangers to Belize. You can understand that they don't want to be moving about with their passports. They live on the compound, and so it is perfectly logical, natural that they should say, well, let us keep our documents in a safe place. So I don't see that that is at all suspicious. I don't see that it is at all incriminating. Note, though, that while the inspector or while the FIU has added these grounds as an additional basis for wanting to hold on to the money, there is no evidence at all that has been produced to suggest that there is any merit in those grounds. Ask this question. People have been charged. They've been charged with working without work permits. They've been charged presumably with, I'm not handling that aspect of it, but presumably with other immigration offenses. Why? Because the charging authorities are saying we have material to sustain those charges. No charges have been brought with respect to anything such as money laundering, such as retaining proceeds of crime, such as tax evasion. None.
Senior Counsel Barrow raised a preliminary objection to the application brought forth by the FIU. He contended that the FIU is not entitled to make an application under the Money Laundering and Terrorism Prevention Act, an objection which Magistrate Debbie Rogers did not uphold. Here is Barrow's response to Magistrate Rogers' ruling.
You heard the evidence of Inspector Gianni. He was the one that led the operation. He was the one that detained and counted the money. Afterwards, he gave it over to the FIU, to the custody of the FIU. But that's not what, as it were, is the foundation for the originating application for continued seizure. The basis for that is that the person that seized it, or the branch of law enforcement that seized it, must show that it had a reasonable suspicion that allowed the seizure of the money, and must then convince the court that it is necessary to hold on to the money so that investigations might be completed. How the FIU gets into it, when you look at the language in the appropriate section of the Money Laundering Act, absolutely defeats me. It can't be that because policemen are attached to the FIU, even though the police officers attached to the FIU were not the ones that carried out the search and seizure, that simply because they have policemen attached to them, that they can continue or they can be the ones to move the application for the continued detention of what was seized, not by them, but by the Trafficking in Persons Unit. That is a fundamental issue, and I believe the magistrate is way wrong in saying that, oh, but in effect they're all part and parcel of law enforcement. No, there are different rules given by different pieces of legislation to different units. As I pointed out, the FIU has, under its own act, the authority to do search and seizures and to move for the attachment of any monies they find in consequence of search and seizure. But this is not that.
Coming up, shooting victim WPC Lorraine Arzu remains on life support. Still no improvements in her condition.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "And I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, in my sinful nature. I want to do what is right, but I can't. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. Oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death? Thank God the answer is in Jesus Christ our Lord." There are no verses that more accurately describe how most people feel about themselves than these. Many people say, "I want to be a Christian, but I can't live it." They see failure in so many Christians that they believe it would be no different with them. The truth is that God doesn't expect anything out of us but failure. But when we are saved, He places within us Him who never fails. The Holy Spirit comes to do in me all that Christ did for me at Calvary. I have a new nature that cannot sin, and an old nature that cannot but sin. Every demand made upon me by God is met and fulfilled by the Holy Spirit. Someone once said, "I can't, but He can." He never said I could. He always said He would. The Bible says, "There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit." The Apostle Paul found help and hope for his problem in Jesus Christ, and trusting in Him was doing what comes supernaturally. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
¿Reúnes los requisitos para la amnistía 2022? Esta es tu oportunidad de aplicar. En el sitio web www.immigration.gov.bz encontrará una lista completa de todos los documentos necesarios para la amnistía según los criterios para los que eres elegible. Asegúrese de reunir todos los documentos generales y de respaldos necesarios y las traducciones necesarias. Haz tu cita en línea con cualquiera de nuestros centros de registro a nivel nacional. Ahí presentarás tus documentos y completarás las entrevistas requeridas. Después, se te entregará un recibo de aceptación. Mientras esperas una decisión sobre tu solicitud, puedes seguirlo en línea y saber cuándo será el pago en la oficina de tesorería del gobierno más cercana. Una vez completa, recibirás tu tarjeta de residencia permanente que muestra tu estado legal en Belice. Obtenga más información sobre la amnistía 2022 y cómo presentar tu solicitud en línea en www.immigration.gov.bz. Prepárate, el plazo de inscripción será del 2 de agosto al 30 de noviembre de 2022. Amnistía de Belice 2022. Continuemos construyendo Belice juntos.
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah.
But how can you pay with your phone?
B-Box.
What? What is B-Box?
B-Box have been his newest rewards program.
Really? Where I could get it from?
Man, check on the website bbox.bz or you could download it from the App Store. And if you still don't know, check that young lady there and she'll hook you up.
I will surely do so. Good afternoon, miss. Can you hook me up with B-Box?
My name is Dr. Marcelo Coy, and I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist at Belize Medical Associates. Pregnant women are at risk of getting infected with the COVID-19 virus and are at higher risk to develop severe complications and illnesses. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe to use during pregnancy. All pregnant women should get vaccinated to protect themselves and their newborn. Visit any vaccination site and get vaccinated.
A young man was killed in a tragic road traffic accident around 1 this morning, and police have detained his close friend pending investigations. The incident happened between miles 12 and 13 on the Philip Golson Highway, and the victim is 19-year-old Daniel Thompson, a driver delivery man for Triple L Construction and Supplies in that community. Thompson's close friend, William Fox, also 19, is the person who police believe was behind the wheel of the red Dodge sports car that struck Thompson's motorcycle. News 5's Marian Ali went to Ladyville and filed this report.
This wrecked Dodge Challenger sports car, which landed off the road, bear the telltale signs of how severe the impact was when it crashed into a motorcycle belonging to Daniel Thompson. The 19-year-old was on this stretch of road near mile 12 on the Philip Golson Highway when he was struck from behind. Thompson was Byron Perez's stepbrother, who he worked with every day at the family business, Triple L Construction and Supplies. Perez told News 5 that Thompson left a wake with his friend following behind in the car when the unthinkable happened.
To my understanding, he was at a wake right around in Ladyville. So I understand that from there, he with his friend were heading up here to like the north side. One was driving the Dodge, the red Dodge, and he was on his bike. So somehow they lost control and we end up how we are now.
Initial reports are that Thompson was heading towards the Barrel Boom Junction with his friend traveling behind in a sports car. The area where they crashed is described as very dark at night, and the taillights on Thompson's bike may not have been working. This is a report that Perez cannot corroborate. Perez said the two friends were very close, and the one in police custody was also considered part of their family.
Every evening or every 2 times of the evening, I would see them together. So like he would always come here home. He basically was part of family too. So I know it's probably very devastating for him to know what happened also, because they were very, very close.
But Perez was also close to Thompson. He said they had been stepbrothers for the past 10 years and that he had seen him just before he left home on Thursday evening.
The last time I saw him was at home actually, because we go home together after work. Yeah, like about 5:30. Okay. Yeah, you know, I didn't expect, no one would ever expect something like this.
Now, as the family prepares to bury their loved one, the police is left to determine who or what was at fault in causing the accident. Reporting for News 5, I'm Marian Ali.
Police Constable Lorraine Arzouk remains at the KHMH as investigators try to close in on the gunman who shot her and Lionel Rowland. While she has undergone brain surgery at the KHMH and transported to the Belize Medical Associates for a CT scan, word is that her condition remains unchanged since Thursday. That is, that she is in a critical condition with unstable vitals and on life support. The two had just gotten into a Ford pickup truck that was parked in front of Arzouk's apartment on Bishop Martin Street when a man with whom Rowland only moments earlier had a few words with shot through the glass window on the driver's side. Rowland suffered 3 wounds, one of which penetrated his shoulder and exited his face. Luckily for him, he is awake and talking. Arzouk unfortunately suffered the worst of the hail of bullets as she was struck in the head. Reports are that after he was shot, Rowland was able to drive off to the Southern Regional Hospital for medical attention. 20-year-old Jaheim Joseph has been arrested and charged for a murder that took place in Hopkins Village on September 30th. The unemployed resident of Ladyville is alleged to have inflicted fatal stab wounds on Norman Castillo following an altercation at his residence in Hopkins. Castillo was injured in the chest and died a short while later. The incident was initially probed as a death investigation to determine whether the person who inflicted the stab wounds may have done so in self-defense. A 5-member panel has been established by the Ministry of Labor to provide a fair and impartial appeal process arising from complaints of unfair dismissal or wrongful termination. The Labor Complaints Tribunal was appointed by Minister of Labor Oscar Requena in accordance with Section 200 of the Labor Act. It is historic as it is the first time such an appointment has been made. Those members include Chairman Anthony Sylvester, Ashanti Arthurs Martin, nominated by the Chief Justice, Jacqueline Jex for the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ella Waite for the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, and the Labor Commissioner as an ex officio member. Earlier today, News 5 spoke with Chief Executive Officer Valentino Schall about the establishment of the tribunal.
The Labor Complaints Tribunal is a tribunal allowed for in the Labor Act. It has always been in the Act, but it has never been acted upon and established by any previous government. And so what we did was we enacted we appointed the tribunal and made it operational and functional. And so now we have a live tribunal. It was appointed back in March of this year, earlier of this year, but the tribunal itself have been putting together the procedures as to how they will manage cases that will come before them and putting in the different management systems that they need to have in order to enable them to hear cases. So it has taken some time, but they have done that. So there's a procedure now which people who want to bring cases before the tribunal can use. And on October 12th, 2 days ago, they delivered their first ruling in one of those cases that they have before them. And so that is very historic. This now gives opportunity for aggrieved workers who feel that they may have been unfairly dismissed and terminated to go somewhere to hear their to have their case heard. And of course, not all cases will be legitimate, and of course, not all will fall within the scope of the law. But there is an opportunity now for workers to go somewhere to have their cases heard.
In a release issued earlier by the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor and Local Government, it informs workers and employers who wish to bring a case before the tribunal to contact any district labor office. The tribunal commenced operations on March 4th, 2022 by installing a critical case management system and procedures. Its first decision was delivered on October 12th.
It's a quasi-judicial body. It's appointed by the ministry. It's composed of different members. One represents the minister, one represents the Supreme Court, and the Chamber of Commerce, the trade unions, and of course the Labor Commissioner as an ex officio member. And so it's officially recognized. Its decisions are legally binding. Of course, if anyone wants to challenge it, they can go further within the judiciary, but it's a fully recognized body that can issue decisions as it's supposed to, as allowed for under the law. And so this, I think, it gives the workers an avenue to address those issues. The Labor Complaint Tribunal is, the scope of their work is to address those issues that fall under Section 42 of the Labor Act. So there are about 12 different instances where you may bring a case of wrongful dismissal. And this addresses things like if you were dismissed because you are a member of a trade union, or if you if because of your ethnicity or because of your HIV status, you feel that you have been wrongfully dismissed because of that, you can now bring that before the tribunal, but it's very specific to those listed under Section 42 of the Labor Act. The chairman is Attorney Anthony Sylvester, and so he is the current chairman of the tribunal. The Labor Act allows for the tribunal to be an independent body. So once it is established, it operates on its own and it is not interfered by anyone. And all the other members are there, and each key sector is represented. The private sector, employers are represented, workers are represented. And of course, like I said, there's a representative of the Chief Justice also on the tribunal.
After the break, NEMO anticipates flood waters to affect the Belize River Valley by the end of the weekend. But first, here's a look at the weather.
Good evening, Belize, and welcome to tonight's weather report and forecast prepared by the National Meteorological Service. I am meteorologist Shayna Young. A light east to southeasterly airflow prevailed across the country today, with supported isolated showers with daytime heating this afternoon over the Maya Mountains and a few more over the northwestern parts of the country this afternoon. What can we expect for tonight? A few showers or isolated thunderstorms will continue to affect Dangriga, Placentia, and also Punta Gorda, while mostly cloudy conditions will be observed over Belmopan and also the northern parts of the country tonight, with light showers over Belize City. Tonight's low temperatures will be 80 degrees Fahrenheit over Belize City and San Pedro, while 78 degrees Fahrenheit can be expected over the south, and inland cooler temperatures of 72 degrees Fahrenheit can be expected over Belmopan and also Orange Walk. Taking a look at tomorrow's weather conditions, a few showers and isolated thunderstorms will affect Belize City, Dangriga, and also Placentia, and some central locations tomorrow morning, while isolated showers can be expected tomorrow evening and returning with a few showers tomorrow night. Tomorrow's high temperatures will be 88 degrees Fahrenheit over Belize City and also San Pedro, while 90 degrees Fahrenheit can be expected over the south, and 92 degrees Fahrenheit will be expected over Belmopan and also Orange Walk. Taking a look at the 4-day forecast, moist conditions can be expected especially during the daytime on Saturday and Sunday, mostly over central and southern locations, while drier conditions will return on Monday and Tuesday. Taking a look at the tropics, over the southwestern Caribbean Sea and also the northwestern Caribbean Sea, conditions continue relatively quiet. However, at 3 p.m. this afternoon, Tropical Storm Carl, which was located over the Bay of Campeche, continues to move to the south-southwest and was at 40 miles per hour. Elsewhere, no tropical cyclone activity is expected over the next few days. Taking a look at the marine conditions, winds will continue from the east and southeast at 5 to 15 knots with waves of 1 to 3 feet. However, a more easterly airflow will prevail tomorrow. Taking a look at the astronomical conditions, there will be a high tide at 12:20 tomorrow, followed by a low tide at 8:15 tomorrow morning, and another high tide at 2:15 tomorrow afternoon. The sun will rise at 5:45 tomorrow morning and will set at 5:30 tomorrow evening, while the moon will set at 10:54 in the morning and will rise tomorrow night at 10:03. Join us again on Monday for another weather report and forecast prepared by the National Meteorological Service. I am meteorologist Shayna Young.
Safe, welcoming, the start of a new chapter. Your home is one of life's biggest investments. Let's protect it. Have you made any recent additions to your property? If so, your home may not be adequately insured. The average clause states that if the amount insured is less than the cost to rebuild, you, the insured, will become your own insurer for the additional amount. To better understand this, let's look at two homes equally valued at $150,000. Home 1 was insured for $150,000, but later, an additional $50,000 was invested into the home. This means that the home is now inadequately insured for only 75% of its value. Home 2 was insured for $150,000 3 years ago, and you haven't invested in any additions. However, inflation and the rising cost of building materials mean that rebuilding the same home today will cost $180,000. This means your home is inadequately insured for only 83% of its value. Therefore, if both homes suffer a $50,000 claim in damages, Home 1 will only be entitled to 75% of this claim, $37,500, and Home 2 will only be entitled to 83% of the claim, $41,500. To avoid this from happening to you, we invite all policyholders to call your Atlantic Insurance agent for guidance today. Being adequately insured gives you the peace of mind to focus on family and life's precious gifts. Atlantic Insurance, insuring you from life's unexpected.
My lights, yeah. Go to my lights, go to my lights. You gotta go to my lights, yeah. I wanna shine, 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 shine. I hit my lights cause that's my plan, 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 plan. My lights have your favorite brand, 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 brand. Just come with nothing in your hands, 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 hands. My lights, and it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on, yeah. I wanna celebrate with my lights, sing yeah, yo, baby let's go. My lights, I wanna celebrate with my lights, sing yeah, yo, baby let's go. We going to the store, but we gon' do right. We gon' light a life, only with my light. We going to the store, but we gon' do right. We gon' light a life, only with my light.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
The latest advisory from NEMO this afternoon cautions people along the Belize River that water levels are expected to rise as the floods continue to push towards the coast. But there is also good news in other parts of the country. The Mopan River that runs through Benqueviejo town is now subsiding and is expected to continue to go down. The same expectation is forecasted for the Macal River at all the Becal facilities and in San Ignacio. The flood levels on the Monkey River, the Saboon River, and are also expected to continue going down. People who live near the City River at Kendall, as well as those near to the Moha River at Blue Creek, South and Jordan, and residents along the Temash River at Creek Sarko are advised that these tributaries are at flood stage. Meanwhile, as the waters advance towards the Caribbean Sea, communities in the Belize River Valley, as well as Crooked Tree, are advised to be alert. The Crooked Tree Lagoon is again expected to spill onto the causeway as the water reaches that area. NEMO's Belize Rural District Coordinator Lionel Smith informed us today that a few villages in the river valley have begun to see their river rise.
They run to the lowest Spanish Creek area, and the Limonal area has been seeing some steady rise in the floodwater so far. Now what we are seeing is some pushback in the Spanish Creek area, and then that river also feeds into Limonal, and that's the one that empties into the Crooked Tree Lagoon.
So you expect Crooked Tree to flood also?
We are expecting some flooding in Crooked Tree, maybe not to an alarming rate, but we are expecting some water movements there.
Smith advises people in flood-prone areas to seek higher ground early and to consider their cattle and pets in the process. He also informed that assessment teams from the BDF, Coast Guard and NEMO were already out taking note of how the floods have impacted people in the Belize rural central area. But the preliminary report is that the most common needs are drinking water and food packs.
What are the most things that you find people needing because of the flooding?
Well, it will be basically, we'll say humanitarian assistance. Yeah, it will definitely, water, food packs, and maybe even mattress. We just want to advise people, if you see the water movement changes and water is coming up near your lawn or your homes, don't wait to see how much will come or how far it will come. Try to get to higher grounds. We always encourage farmers to move their livestock, and maybe people have pets and stuff like that on harnesses. You take them off those harnesses and secure your personal belongings like documents and so on. Things that is always takes a lengthy time to replace. So take your documents, your pets, and move to higher ground.
On Thursday night, we aired the story of an oil spill at Westline Bus Company in Benque Viejo del Carmen. In the wake of the incident and the flooding, an advisory has been issued by the Department of Environment, reiterating the protocols guiding the storage of industrial chemicals, pesticides, and hazardous materials. Those guidelines are contained in the Environmental Protection Act. In an interview with Chief Executive Officer Dr. Kenrick Williams of the Ministry of Sustainable Development, Climate Change and Disaster Risk Management, he says that a team from the Department of Environment will inspect other businesses with similar storage equipment to ensure that there is compliance.
We've also served notice and remind the public that there are criteria of the storage containers that we use for these type of waste oil. So as to follow the law and be in compliance with the law. Naturally, as usual, fortunately, because of our limited resource, we have to be reactionary in some cases, and so we're putting out the spill, but we also have a sense of where some of the priorities in terms of these storage containers exist across the country, and we've asked the team to go out and do some monitoring and checks on some of these waste oil storage containers and other oil storage containers so as to not have this type of replication.
When we return, the National Women's Commission discusses a proposed national gender policy.
Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety and reminds you to always look out for power lines. When constructing your home or business, ensure that your structure is not immediately under or too close to power lines. Be cautious when mounting equipment such as rain gutters or satellite dishes, and make sure to secure them properly to avoid them falling or making contact with nearby overhead power lines. Also avoid planting trees directly under or too close to power lines. If you touch any conducting object that's in contact with a power line, electricity can instantly pass through you, causing a potentially deadly shock. If you're uncertain or think your home or business may be too close to power lines, call us toll-free at 0800-235-2273 or message us on Facebook or WhatsApp for guidance when working near power lines. Belize Electricity Limited. We care about your safety.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Everything must come to an end. A much-needed vacation, or even a good book. What about the world? How will it end? Should we be worried about the end? Frightened even? What does the Bible actually say about the end? Tune in right here as we discuss the end.
The National Women's Commission has been tasked with the development of the National Gender Policy 2021 to 2030. The proposed document was stalled due to the pandemic, but has since resumed and follows on the 2013 policy. So the NWC has been making its rounds, having consultation with various agencies and civil society stakeholders to ensure that everyone is covered. And today, a sensitization session was held with the media. Now, in the past, there had been issues about certain terminologies used in the policy in terms of sex and gender. President of the NWC, Thea Garcia Ramirez, told the media today that while there are differences in opinion, the objectives are aligned.
I think that we have made every effort this time to engage, to listen closely, to take their concerns, and to try and, in as much as we can, to incorporate the valid concerns that they have into this new gender policy. As I said, we are still speaking to them. I know that we might not be able to agree on every point, but I think overwhelmingly, even with some of those sectors that were at odds with the gender policy, that they understand that the National Women's Commission is and the government is really seeking to uplift the station of many women, vulnerable groups, rural women, women in embattled urban areas that we have, and so to give them every chance to empower themselves, to educate themselves, to live a life that is free of violence and a dignified life in Belize. And that I believe that that is one of the areas where we can all agree.
The 2021-2030 National Gender Policy focuses on the gaps and areas for further action in 6 primary pillars: health, education, wealth and employment creation, gender-based violence, women in power and decision-making, and organizational system strengthening. NWC President Thea Garcia Ramirez says that while there are some inroads, more has to be done to ensure equality and equity for all, especially women and girls.
This is part of the socialization process. We want to get everybody involved and to learn about the National Gender Policy and the accompanying action plan, because, well, it's just not a policy unless we put it into motion and we actually implement it. It basically seeks to empower women and to make sure that we are not only equal, but in different areas, we have equitable measures that will put us on par with Belizean men. There were some gaps that were not quite. We really weren't able to implement those. A lot of those had to do with the pandemic. We had almost 2 years when we didn't have any contact. So now we have renewed, and we are still taking the 5 pillars that we have that we look at, and I think that this one is more comprehensive. We have done extensive consultations over the last year, And I think that it will have the support of the majority of Belizeans moving forward this time.
The proposed policy is expected to go to Cabinet for approval by the end of this year and possibly implemented by the next fiscal year in 2023. October 13th is celebrated as World Sight Day, and on Thursday, members of the National Assembly commemorated the day by supporting an initiative by the Belize Council for the Visually Impaired to promote eye health care. BCVI is the only non-profit organization in the country that provides eye care in an effort to reduce avoidable blindness and to improve the quality of life for individuals with visual impairments and irreversible blindness. The organization has signed onto the global initiative led by the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness to promote eye care health with the support of government officials and members of parliament. As we found out from Executive Director of the BCVI, Carla Ayers Musa, the eye screening services will also be performed on parliamentarians at the sitting of the House of Representatives on Monday, October 17th.
We screened ministers, senators, parliamentarians, staff at the National Assembly, and we will be screening the House representatives, so all the members of Parliament, on Monday during the House meeting. We also did a school screening at Toledo Community College and screened over 300 children. It's really good to get back out and be able to be in schools because, as we know, COVID has shut many schools down and stopped a lot of these mass health initiatives that were taking place. So we look forward to continuing the efforts to reduce avoidable blindness.
The United Nations passed the first ever resolution on eye health in 2021, making eye care one of the key factors in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. They called on governments globally to pledge an increased focus on the prevention of blindness. Today, Hand in Hand Ministries celebrated its 20th anniversary by hosting an open house at its headquarters in Belize City. Director of Operations Abel Vargas and members of staff at the organization were on hand to give visitors a guided tour of the facility that has done a lot to assist needy families across the country. It's a momentous occasion considering the fact that many philanthropic organizations do not live past 10 years. News 5's Isani Cayetano visited Hand in Hand Ministries earlier and has the following story.
The house is just a vehicle for the self-improvement of the families. So for some people, it's just a four-wall structure. But for other people, man, it's magical. It's a life-changing event for them.
2 decades ago, when Abel Vargas and his team began doing church work in Belize, they did not imagine that Hand in Hand Ministries would have impacted the lives of so many indigent families who have sought their assistance. Over the years, the faith-based organization has done its share of community outreach.
We dream big and pray a lot. Here in Belize right now, we have our Building for Change program where we build houses for single mothers, the elderly, people who are diseased, burdened, and people who are generally marginalized. That's the Building for Change program. And we've built 465 houses so far, and we've been in every part of the country, from Corozal to Punta Gorda.
Best known for its housing program for the poor, Hand in Hand Ministries has been instrumental in helping to situate families by providing them with a roof over their heads.
At the start of the program, we started with small version houses. It was plywood homes. The aim of it was to help elderly, the parishioners, to have somewhere stable as they age. We wanted to make sure that they have a place where they can call home as they live out the rest of their lives. So we started with these small 8x8 structures, and then we further progressed. As you can see here, we have a small little version of our houses. We then improved to a 16x16 home. That house was just shell. It came with just one partition down the middle. We realized that because of the demographics, that the people and the people we serve, things change, their needs are changing. And so we decided we're going to add on a 3x8 addition so that we could accommodate a bathroom.
Beyond the building of homes, scholarships have also been awarded to secondary school students in need of financial assistance to complete their education.
We also have a scholarship program where we have 21 children in high school. It had started off with a hybrid program where we had junior college and high school, but we have now narrowed it down to high school. And we've had that scholarship program now for the better part of about 14 years. From that scholarship program, we have right now in Belize engineers, we have several nurses, several social workers, policemen, BDF, lawyers who have graduated from our scholarship program. Apart from that, we have started 8 cafeterias in different schools in the country.
At 20 years old, there's a lot for Hand in Hand to be proud of, including its outreach program.
Since it started some 15, 16 years ago, we are the only organization in the country that deals primarily with the HIV-infected children. So much so that any HIV-infected children that surfaces in the country are referred to us. All right? And we provide them with a holistic care and support package, which comprises of about 25 different services that we give the child, from taking their blood, centrifuging the blood, lab tests, post and pre-counseling, monitoring, ARV administration, ARV monitoring, everything we do with the child. So that is the 3 programs that we have right now, and we are very proud that so far they have been successful.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Just ahead, art and mindfulness in coping with mental health challenges. That's coming up in tonight's episode of On the Bright Side.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Dwayne Moody, Isani Cayetano, Marian Ali, Paul Lopez. Your News 5 Belize teams do whatever it takes, go wherever they need to go, so you can catch the story wherever you are, whenever you want, on whatever device. Channel 5 Belize on television, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Because news is now everywhere, all the time. And so are we.
After a rough week of school, Jake and his friends decide to treat themselves to frozen coffee. And since they don't have cash on them, they decide to use eCash. With eCash's geolocation feature, Jake can easily find the nearest coffee spot. With eCash's built-in option to split bills, Jake can pay the bill and his friends can reimburse their portion of the bill. Jake scans the merchant's code and confirms payment. Jake then views his transaction history and taps on the transaction recently made, then taps the split the bill button where he selects the evenly option to evenly split the bill. The application splits the bill automatically. His friends receive and accept the request. Geolocation and splitting the bill via eCash makes Jake enjoy his digital lifestyle.
Many self-care practices are encouraged to combat the characteristics of mental illnesses that plague the lives of 1 in every 8 persons. October is the month of advocacy for mental health, and Raquel Rodriguez shared with us one such way that persons may unknowingly experience therapeutic release through the world of art.
The Bright Side is brought to you by Uno, a brand committed with the future.
The main reason that I took on mental health so strongly this month and I cleared out my calendar for it was because I know that there is something happening between the students and the art.
Raquel Rodriguez is a Belizean artist who established a school in the peak of adversity in 2020. When the world was at a standstill, she found an outlet where people could creatively release. Painting would be a refuge for children and adults. Now, persons who join her art school learn the fundamentals of drawing and painting, but the core of the undertaking is centered on social awareness and giving back to the community through art.
We do the fundamentals of art. We do the marketing so they understand how to label themselves, label their art, and sell the art. And then we also do community work. The students come to me for school, and they are told as soon as they start the school that I tell the parents, when you start Raquel Art, you're not just starting a school, but we are also a movement. We are a foundation. We are community effort. So we're also going to be out there doing something for the community.
The movement, as Rodriguez describes it, has contributed to community service in many ways. Partnerships with the private sector and government have resulted in communities being beautified with messages of social awareness. This month, the theme is combating mental health through art.
There is a moment, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's a few seconds, that you really do see inside of a child, and you see that there are issues there. Seen where they are depressed or they're going through issues. It could be anything, you know, from school work being a burden to puberty, and you're thinking about boys, or you know, dad's not around, or we were just discussing about single moms, you know, so how does that affect a child?
Carrie Wade is a psychologist. She has also connected the dots between art and mindfulness.
Art, because there's lots of different ways to address mental health issues, right? So a lot of times we do talk therapy. That's a traditional sit down, tell somebody your issues, and they help you put it in brackets that you can then make decisions that are healthy. But a lot of times we can't find the words. So art therapy has been around for a while. Raquel doesn't do art therapy, Raquel just does art. But art in itself is so therapeutic that even though it's not meant to be a therapy, you're sitting there and you're becoming mindful. Mindfulness is a very big technique used in mental health treatment.
Art has really helped me. It's been a part of my life ever since. And especially recently, when my grandma passed away, it helped me process my emotions, because my grandma was someone I would go to and talk to about my emotions, what I'm feeling. And it was just very helpful, especially when I started to paint. I paint what I was feeling.
So mental health and art really connect. And a lot of times Raquel's like, but I don't know therapy. I'm like, yeah, you don't. But just by virtue of letting a child make mistakes, that's a huge form of mental health support, because most times we're like, no, you can't get that wrong.
The beauty of art essentially connects mindfulness with creativity. But it's the final image on canvas, the product of our thoughts and emotions, that is truly rewarding. For Raquel, picking up a paintbrush can be the gateway to a whole new world that helps us escape from our mental challenges.
We see a lot of benefits of art, and that's why we really did want to shine for mental health, because maybe there's that one kid out there and he's watching the news tonight, or he's watching it on Facebook. Maybe he's a youth, maybe he's 24 years old, and he's thinking, I'm so stressed, I'm so depressed. Let me just pick up a paintbrush like what she said on the news this morning, and I'll do that, and maybe it helps.
Looking on the bright side, I'm Sabrina Daly.
On the Bright Side was brought to you by Uno, a brand committed with the future.
Ho, ho, ho! This Christmas, the first present comes from Uno. Get 1 coupon for every purchase of $25 in Uno fuels, per quart of Uno lubricants, or 2 coupons per gallon. Get into the spirit. It's Christmas time. Uno, a brand committed with the future.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Annalyn Apollonia. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.